to the Falmouth Conservation hearing held tonight, July 16th. I'm Tom Corvo, I'm the vice chair, and I'm going to be running this hearing. Please attend to your phones now, silence them, so we're not in the middle of things. I have not chaired for a while, so I'm depending on my fellow commissioners to help me through this. Your patience and would be appreciated. Beginning tonight, we're going to do a meeting, minutes first. The first one's up on June 4th, 2014.
Mr. Chairman, I've read the minutes and find them substantially correct.
Okay, do we have a...
Motion to accept.
And a second? Anybody?
Second.
There we go. So we have a motion on the table for June 4th, 2014. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Next is June 25th, 2014.
Mr. Chairman, I've read the minutes of June 25th and find them substantially correct.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous, so moved. Moving further, request for a continuance of hearings under a notice of intent. 52 Perch Pond Circle Realty Trust, 52 Perch Pond Circle, East Falmouth, Mass.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until August 6th. 6th.
May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to continue 52 Perch Pond Circle till August 6th.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion from the board? Any from the audience? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous, so moved. Now we move to the part, request for determination of applicability. This is a lesser permit than a notice of intent. So when you hear a negative determination, it means the project will go forward as discussed with the agent and the administrator. So a negative determination is what you want to have for this permitting right now. First up is Edward DeWitt and Kathleen Mortensen, 116 Pin Oak Way, for permission to remove the existing patio and construct a porch on sonotubes with a deck above in a similar footprint.
Smaller footprint. Smaller or similar?
Smaller. Smaller.
Yes,
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 and to stay the -3 into the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved?
Second.
Are there any questions on the board? Are there any questions in the audience? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you. Next is John Tudor, 161 Coonamessett Circle, Hatchville, Mass, for permission to vista prune.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 into the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed. So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the board? Any discussion in the audience? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. I'm skipping right over to this, the 193 Coonamessett Circle, Hatchville, Mass, for permission to vista prune.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 into the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion from the board? Is there any discussion in the audience? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous? So moved. Next is 77 Turner Road, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct a gravel driveway and a brick walkway.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, The applicant's representative did request a continuance until July 30th, late in the day today.
Can I have a motion for that?
I move that the issue on 77 Turner Road be moved until August,
July.
July?
30th.
July 30th. There you go.
Thank you.
We'll get that, don't worry about it.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments from the board? Any conversation from the audience? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Next is Richard Spillane, 35 Gunning Point Ave, Falmouth, Mass., for permission to demolish and reconstruct the existing house and garage with deck, porch, stairs, install an in-ground pool, landscape walls, Title V sewage disposal system, and the associated clearing, grading, and landscaping.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff has reviewed the project. We're recommending a -2 under the state, a -2 under the bylaw, -3 under the state with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
Can I have a motion, please?
Discuss.
We'll make a motion in a second, and then we can discuss.
Okay.
So we need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion.
I just have a question for the administrator that, about our ability to control this or supervise the site management. Are you satisfied that that's not an issue in this location?
It shouldn't be an issue. We'll have them establish the proper erosion control. It is over 100 feet from the top of the coastal bank.
And wind is not a particular concern?
I mean, they are doing a little bit of regrading in the outer buffer, but we will monitor that and have a limit of work established. They were supposed to, we're going to get a new site plan from them showing that. So that was one of Mark's concerns, and he did talk to the applicant's representative regarding that.
Okay, good.
My concerns have been addressed.
Any other discussion? Any discussion from the audience? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Now, going into continued requests for determination of applicability. Again, this is where negative determination is what you want to hear, as opposed to a positive. First is Charles and Thomas Crane, 39 Juniper Point Road, Woods Hole, Mass., for permission to install, maintain an 8-inch water main, fire hydrant, 1-inch water services, and the repaving approximately 500 linear foot portion of Juniper Point Road.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant has withdrawn that application.
And I said that so well.
You did.
Okay, moving on. Craig Wilder, 12 Shell Path, East Falmouth, Mass., for permission to construct a new front entry and provide required native mitigation plantings.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we reviewed the project. We're recommending -2 under the bylaw, -3 under the state with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. All right. Susan and Ralph at 49 Green Harbor Road, East Falmouth, Mass., for permission to install an in-ground pool, new Title V sewage disposal system, roof over existing patio, fences, pool, dry well, encase the water line in concrete if necessary, remove the existing shed and associated clearing, grading, and landscaping.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the board? Any from the audience? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous, so moved. Next is Robert Blair, 189 Alder Lane, North Falmouth, Mass., for permission to remodel the existing 10-foot by 18-foot screen porch and a 12-foot by 12-foot deck into a 20-foot by 30-foot screen porch on a concrete slab and the associated clearing, excavating, and landscaping.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the reason the boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the board? Is there any from the audience? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Dr. William Mason, 57 Shorewood Drive, East Falmouth, Mass., for permission to remove and dispose of the existing septic system, install a new Title V sewage disposal, restore the existing gravel driveway, and to regrade seed and loam.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the associated boundaries.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion on the board? Any from the audience? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Now we get to a part where I'm going to read this. These are requests for hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. And during this segment, people may want to make comment. You will have to do so at the podium. You'll have to get up, go to the podium, identify yourself for the record. Comments are only going to be received at the podium, okay? That's just how it's going to be. We have a full evening tonight, so brief and to the point would be appreciated immensely. First up is 52 Perch Pond Circle Realty Trust, which was continued to August 6th. I'm going to skip over that. Next is William Roberts, 220 Scranton Ave, Falmouth, Mass., for permission to undertake maintenance dredging to a 3-foot depth along the existing bulkhead to remove 140 cubic yards over an area of approximately 3,265 square feet. Jen, do you have any comment?
I'll save any of my comments until after project presentation.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Barbara Frappia with Warwick and Associates, and this is a project that some of you may remember when we replaced some of the piers. And now we're here before you to do some maintenance dredging up along the bulkhead for some material that's shoaled in over the past decade. And this will be done, as stated in the narrative. It'll be done from a barge using a clamshell bucket. The material, by the way, is something that, according to Mr. Frazier, Greg Frazier, your harbor master, is the town would like to have. We did have it tested. It did not trip the sediment size threshold, which would require, further testing of the material. It is sandy, it's not silty. And we've also met with the Shellfish Warden, Mr. Martinson, and part of this project is that Mr. Roberts will be making a donation to the Shellfish Propagation Program. And the only thing, Jen did call me earlier tonight, the man that's going to be doing the dredging had said that if he couldn't, it's a small amount of material, and if he couldn't dewater it on the barge, he could put a dewatering basin in the town lot. And Jen rightly pointed out that we would need permission from the town to set up a temporary dewatering there if we can't do it all on the barge. But I'm guessing he probably could do it on the barge, otherwise we would have to get separate permission from the town to set it up there. And the object would be to get it done sometime in the late fall. If you read, the Division of Marine Fisheries has said that this is, even though this is an area for quahog, their concern is the winter flounder for this spawning season. So they would request that the dredging not be done between January and May, which does fit in with our anticipated start of sometime in October, which would be the harbor wouldn't be as busy, and we could get it done. We do have to get our updated Chapter 91 license for the maintenance, And we will be going to CZM we're going for a 401 water quality as part of the process. So we should have all our permits in order for an October start. Again, a week, maybe 10 days to get it all done. It's not a very big job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jen?
Just had a question on de-water.
I'm going to start with Mario.
No, I spoke to the slip owner of A, dock A, and he indicated it's about 6.5 feet water depth at the end.
There is right here, here's your profiles, right here. So here's your 6, then bring it down 3 feet. So it is, the whole purpose is to give enough depth for the boats that park down that end.
Yeah. 'Cause he's drawing 4 feet already,
Yes,
so he's only got 2.5 feet.
that is
over
correct. So
here.
he does need to have that extra room, as do they, because they're good-sized boats that use that marina.
I know there's a quahog fishery. Did you hear from the shellfish warden?
Yes, I met with Chuck. I don't know if he submitted anything. I met with him, and we discussed whether it should be fished out, and he didn't think that it would really, in this instance, be really worth getting into that. And what happened the last time as well, when we replaced the pilings, the town accepted a donation to the Shellfish Propagation Program in lieu of fishing out whatever quahogs might be there, if any.
Okay. Mary?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Les?
No questions or comments?
Mike?
In terms of moving forward, do we have any idea where this stuff came from?
It just shoaled in. I'm sure it just shoaled in. It comes in and you're not getting a lot of movement there. You notice it's up against the bulkhead as opposed to out in the channel where you get more turbidity. And it just comes in and settles there because it's not getting a lot of turbidity to move it around.
Well, the reason I ask is if you can knew the cause, and I'm wondering if it's runoff from the parking lot. If it's sand, and if there's a way to avoid it, then you're better off avoiding it than dredging in the future.
Yeah, like I said, they did do it about 10 years ago. I wasn't part of that permitting process. That was done by, who did the plan, Jacqueline and colleague. I don't know, Mike.
And you're convinced that you get enough samples to know what this is?
We did take the samples. We sent it to an approved lab.
That's fine. I'm
Yes.
happy.
When I was out there, it was very active. There was a wedding. It was a full weekend. And I'm always impressed on how, when good things happen, it was a delight to go out there, seeing that it's active, and there was the benefit going on the green out by the harbor master and such. So it was a nice day to do the walk by. Do we have enough information?
I do.
I have a motion.
Make a motion to close the hearing, take it under advisement.
You can't close the hearing, you don't have a DEP number. So we're gonna have to continue it until July 30th for a DEP number only. Sorry about that.
So you can't close the hearing because of these, so we continue it.
Yep.
We have to.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing, July 30th.
So the number only, it'll be open, closed, we're done.
Second.
Okay. Now, is there any other comment from the audience? Anyone need to speak about this? Okay. Seeing that,
What was the date of the continuance?
it's July 30th. No other comments from the board? Okay. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous.
Thank you very much. So Jen, excuse me, is it, if it's only for the number, because I don't have anything else on that
You don't
night.
have to come.
Okay,
And a regular special conditions, if you can get permission from the property owner to use water,
yes.
that'll be fine.
Correct.
No problem.
Next up is Colleen and John Boselli. 118 Westwood Road, North Falmouth, for permission to raise the existing dwelling and construct a new single-family house with attached garage, decks, porches, to install a new Title V sewage disposal system, driveway, AC units, utilities, native mitigation plantings, and the associated clearing, grading, and landscaping.
Gotta find my envelope with my green cards, but for now, so you know I did it, at least know these, so I can proceed and not hold you up.
Jen, do you have any comment?
I'll save any of my comments until after Barbara's presentation.
Okay, good evening, Barbara.
Good evening. Again, Barbara Frappier with Warwick and Associates. This is a property that currently has a single-family dwelling, and the new owners, the Bosellis, are planning to raise the existing house and construct a new dwelling. As you can see, we have coastal dune, coastal beach, coastal bank, flood zones, both V and A a little off-site. And here in the blue line, we're showing the top of the coastal bank. And we're also showing here the 100-foot buffer to the top of the coastal bank and the 100-foot buffer to the dune. If you can see where the green and orange line crisscross each other, the 100-foot dune buffer line is almost coincidental with the 50-foot top of bank. The plan is to take this dwelling, the new dwelling, and move it back from the top of the coastal bank at least 10 feet, in some certain angles a little bit more. So they're pulling it back 10 feet. And also you can see we have a septic system here, which are old pits. Those pits will be removed, and a new Title V septic system will be installed here, which is beyond jurisdiction. Care has been taken, if you'll notice how the layout is of the septic and the driveway out there. Particular care has been taken to save as many of the existing trees in the front yard as possible. In the course of doing the numbers, I believe you have in your narrative a breakdown of the footprint of structure and hardscape. And overall, there is a total of 110 additional square feet of structure and/or hardscape within the 100-foot buffer. To that end, we have proposed 220 square feet, as it is in the B buffer, of mitigation planting down here adjacent to the existing shrubs. So it just widens that buffer down there. We do have your dry wells. And again, the house is set back at least 10 feet more to the street than the existing dwelling. So I think that's about it. The coastal bank, by the way, if you have any questions about that, I believe in your package you have a letter from Jim O'Connell, who is sort of the preeminent coastal bank man, and he's here tonight if you have any questions of him. He was the one that delineated the coastal bank.
Thank you. Jen?
Barbara, did you go over that little anomaly?
Oh, I did not. I'm sorry. I want to apologize for something. If you look on the site plan, over here, just forward, right where it says 7-inch cedar and 6-inch cedar, right on the property line,
Yes.
next to the shoreway, I'm going to point it out to you. It's easier than me describing it. See this little thing here, right here? Yes, this thing right here. Here?
Yep.
All right. When we took the landscape plan and took their CAD drawing, copied it, and put it on our drawing, that was the patio. And when he twisted it to attach it to the house, the copy that he made, he didn't erase. So there's that copy of a patio that shouldn't be there. That should have been erased. But that layer stayed on, if you want. I'm sure you understand CAD. So I apologize if that was confusing to anybody.
Thank you.
And I will happily get you a copy of the plan without that on there.
Yes. Any other comments, Jen?
No,
Okay.
I'd like to see it being pulled back $10,000.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Mike?
The proposed foundation will be larger than the existing.
Slightly, yes.
Right. So you're going to have some leftover fill, or is it just going to lose in the,
Probably not, because it may be a little deeper in areas that it might be a little deeper cellar, so I think it's almost going to be a net-net
okay.
job there. The only fill that might come out, the only fill that will come out in any quantity will be for the septic system, because there is some crappy material there that has to be stripped out and replaced with sand. So that's about the only stuff that's going to go out at any volume.
There's a catch basin on the southwest side of that property near the home.
Okay,
Where does it drain to?
I don't have a clue. I have to tell you, I don't know, Mike.
Is it,
I didn't even see it. Obviously you did.
yeah,
It's there, I didn't look.
it didn't, I guess my point is it didn't daylight on the boat, on the coastal bank that I could find, so I suppose it's an academic, as long as you don't go
As long as it's
changing the drainage
point
path.
source discharge running down the bank into the,
Yeah.
onto the beach. And there's plenty of those out there.
That's it, thank you.
I will find that answer if you want me to pursue it. I will.
I'm more for, I don't want to see somebody digging it up, causing a problem, and having, in the future, if it's a leaching basin, so be it, that's a good thing, but,
I will bring it to the attention of the site contractor.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Russ?
Questions or comments?
Mary?
Just a couple sort of picky things,
Well,
procedural.
Welcome back, Mary.
If you're going to provide an updated plan with the patio glitch
Yeah.
removed, could you indicate on the plan also where the mitigation planting is going?
It's on the, part
I
of
know
the
it-
package was the, oh, you want me to transfer that on there? Yes, we can do that.
Okay, fine.
Sure.
And the only other thing that caught my eye, and this is maybe really too minor, but the narrative references an Excel spreadsheet for Mr. McConnell's report, and I was just wondering if that got submitted.
I did not submit that.
Okay.
I mean, if you want it, I will. Just figured it was one more piece of paper I had to make 12 copies of, but if you'd like it, I can give it to you.
One copy for the record.
Yeah, just one copy.
Did I not give you a copy, Jen? I think I gave you, I usually give Jen more things than I give you guys.
It didn't get to me.
All right, I can give her that. I don't have a copy with me now. Jim has a copy right now.
And while
That's all, thank you.
Go ahead.
So nice to have you back.
I know.
Barbara?
Oh, sorry, Mike.
while I'm being really picky,
Oh, boy.
add the flagpole to the flow, to the pan.
Yes,
And the drywall detail.
yes. I suppose I should have a pen now. You're taxing my memory capabilities. There you go. Thank you.
All set, Mary?
I am, thank you.
Mario?
Do you want this, Mary, or want me to give it to you? Does anyone-
I just
Okay,
thought
we'll
it
give
should be
to
in the
Russ
record.
for the
Yeah,
record.
we'll do the record. Yeah, we'll give it to him.
You all set, Mario?
Just a couple of questions, Bob.
Sure.
I don't know, I did meet with the homeowner.
Yes, you did.
And I thought that a little more information was in order.
Yeah.
It sounds like you are going to submit, I just find the site plan a little confusing.
Well, it's
You know,
very
is
busy.
this an existing conditions plan?
It's a combination. One of the things with that, Mario, that I find a little frustrating, and maybe you guys can give me guidance and everybody else that does this guidance, sometimes I come in with a plan that has an existing conditions plan and a proposed plan, and somebody doesn't like it. Well, I wish you'd superimpose it on the existing so we can get a better relationship. So then I superimpose it on the existing, and then you're looking at it and saying, this is wicked confusing. It would have been nicer to have it separate. In anticipation of you bringing that up, My only thing is, I do remember that what Maury used to do, because sometimes the plans are like this, you want an awful lot of information on a plan. Sometimes it's better to take the plan yourself, and I remember Maury used to come in here, and her whole plan was colored. She had it all colored, she had her little crayons, and, you know, and it helped her, because I have a tough time reading it, it's our plan. So I understand your angst over
Yeah,
that.
you do have a little schematic up here.
A little for the house, yes.
Right, but that doesn't tell an awful lot. It's not to scale, doesn't show any grade changes or anything.
Well, actually, we're not gonna do much grade, any grade changes.
But you would know it from this.
Well, if we had grade changes, I would have more contours in a different layer, you know, that would show up.
Yeah.
But I understand, Mario, I'm not,
But I know what you're trying to do here, you know, but for me, it's confusing
yeah,
to see what is actually in existence and what is being proposed. You know, I see, like you said, it's kind of an amalgam of the two.
exactly it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's hard to get different lines of different thicknesses, shapes, designs, so you can differentiate.
This is a substantially larger structure than what exists, correct?
Not within jurisdiction. There's an awful lot more outside of jurisdiction, yes.
Because you're going from 4 bedrooms to 6.
Well, it's 6 rooms that Title V will count as bedrooms.
I'm just
Or
saying,
potentially. Actually, there's only 4 bedrooms, but there are a couple of other rooms that, although they don't meet the Title V criteria for bedroom because they don't have a door or whatever, there's the potential to convert them into bedrooms by a future owner. So we felt that it would be best to put a 6-bedroom septic system there. So we'd be prepared, or somebody would be prepared, the town would be prepared down the road if someone converted any of those other rooms to bedrooms.
and just one other question.
Sure.
I thought the staking and the flagging was inadequate when I was
Okay.
out there. This
What
is
was
just a few
missing for
days
you?
ago.
What was missing in particular?
Oh, I didn't see any flagging for the wetland delineation, for one thing.
Well, the top of bank was stakes and the dune was flags. There should have
I
been
didn't
flags
see
in the
any
dune.
dunes flagging at all. I saw the top of bank, I saw the limit of work staked
Yeah.
out. I didn't
Well, there should
see,
have been flags there for the
I didn't
dune.
see the corners of the proposed house,
Well, I couldn't have shown you those. I would have had to drive the stakes through their living
to the
room.
living room.
The house is bigger with-
Yeah.
Okay.
The addition on the back was staked. I went to
Right,
That's right. No further questions. That's it.
okay. Do we have enough information on this?
And we do have a DEP number on this one.
What is it?
SE 254031.
I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second?
Okay. Before we do that, are there any comments from the audience? Going once, going twice. There we are. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous, so moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bonnie.
I don't have them. I must have left them on the desk. So I'll just trade them up. but you
Oh,
can
okay,
have
yeah.
them. Thank you.
Carry that revised plan tomorrow, Bob?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, end of week.
I'm coming down Friday at 1 o'clock anyway. Does that work for you?
That works for me.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Michael and Martha Terry, 67 National Winter Street, West Falmouth, Mass., for permission to renovate the existing dwelling to include the construction of new additions, deck, patios, stairs, pergola, landscaping, retaining walls, native mitigation plantings to license the existing stone pier, wooden ramp and float, and the associated clearing, grading, and landscaping.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until August 6th.
And I didn't mess up on that one either.
No, that came in really late.
On behalf of the applicant, continues to August 6th.
second.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, a call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous. So moved.
August 6th.
August 6th, yes. Now we move on to continued request for hearing under a notice of intent. I once again want to remind the audience, if you want to make comment, you do so up at the podium. Identify yourself for the record so that the record keeper can hear you. Take your time at the podium and make sure you get everything out that you need to. All right? Right now, it is David and Martha Casellas, 0 Ferry Road, Wacoit, Mass., for permission to construct and maintain of timber stairs, 4.5 by 82 fixed timber pier, 3 by 14-foot ramp, 4 foot by 10 foot, and 5 foot by 12 foot float, 4 by 4 posts, 2 6 by 6 posts, and 13 12-inch diameter piles for shared community access and the associated excavating and grading.
And is this what you sent us yesterday?
Yeah. Good evening, Glenn Wood, Rubin, and Rudman, counsel for the applicants on this continued hearing.
One moment,
Sure, of course.
Mr. Wood, please.
I just wanted to comment, make a quick comment to the board that there is a dispute on property, the rights of this application to go forward. There's a dispute on the property rights in this area that is not for this board. It's not the forum to discuss that issue in this hearing. Town council has advised you that the property rights issues are civil matters. So I would like the board to stay focused with the application and how it relates to the Wetlands Protection Act and your bylaw.
Thank you. Mr. Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would concur with Jen on that. Our office, in conjunction with Bob Ament's office, in conjunction with Holmes and McGrath, as well as with Pam Newberg and at Stantec, represent the project team. This is a unique and interesting situation. Basically, what we're seeking to do on behalf of our clients, the applicants to this notice of intent, is reestablish, rebuild a pre-existing dock that dates back to the 70s, at least to 1972. In the packet that you have today is a copy, is a secondary letter that our office submitted, largely in part in response to a letter from counsel for the two neighbors who are in opposition, we presume, or are in opposition to this application. But it also contains a number of affidavits from our clients, others in the neighborhood, as well as the two predecessors entitled to the two adjacent property owners in opposition, all of which document that there was a small pre-existing dock that was seasonally removed, dating back to at least 1972. The sections of dock were removed seasonally in the winter, stacked, and the pilings remained, the stairway remained. It's been rebuilt over time. It's been used by the neighborhood for small boats, sailboats, sunfishes, kayaks, canoes, small boats, etc., without any gap in time and without any damage whatsoever at any time in the past. Unfortunately, due to circumstances that I don't think I really want to get into at this point, but are part of the subject of now a land court litigation that our office has brought against the two property owners. We're seeking to reestablish what's been there for at least 40 past years. The reason why we filed this notice of intent with the admittedly the much more lengthy dock is that we felt that the commission should have the opportunity to consider whether we should rebuild what was there and just be made whole, which is really, frankly, all we're looking to do, is to be made whole again, or to build something that meets, in particular, the FWRs. The pre-existing grandfathered dock grandfathered under the Wetlands Protection Act, grandfathered under the Home Rule bylaw, and therefore was a pre-existing legal grandfathered structure from wetlands law. Chapter 91 is a different issue, and Chapter 91 isn't before you. We would be happy to rebuild what we had before. Tickled. In fact, the sections of dock still remain. The only thing that was removed, not by us or my clients, were the historic stairs and the pilings, both of which were in fine working condition with no damage whatsoever. Any assertions to the otherwise are patently wrong, and we've got a series of attested to affidavits that speak to that are now filed in court. I think that stands for a lot of weight. We'd be prepared to go ahead, surely, with the application as proposed, but if the commission felt that they would be willing to consider the in-kind rebuilding, restoration of what was there before, our clients would be more than happy to spend a lot less money rebuilding, assuming it's their cost, to do so. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth on this thing, but we're looking to deal with the project on the merits, and we can do it either with the project as proposed that completely meets the FWRs. The only thing that it doesn't meet under present regulations is that it is in, admittedly by the numbers, significant shellfish habitat. But it's been in a historic shellfish license for decades. Therefore, no one but the existing holder of the license can shellfish. So there's no recreational fishing in this area. There's no commercial shellfishing in this area. The only thing that this license holder does is floating oysters. In the notice of intent, we have a letter from the holder of the license with no opposition whatsoever to this project, which I think should be given a lot of weight as well. We're looking forward to your review of this, and I will say further that, as the commission did request, or surely the commission's office, I've personally attempted for months, and we've delayed this notice of intent for months, to attempt to engage and reach a resolution, which to date has been unsuccessful. And therefore, we're frankly forced to move ahead with this and put this squarely in front of the commission. We apologize if we need to. I don't think we need to apologize for anything, but it is what it is, and we've attempted in good faith to deal with the parties, and we've not been able to reach a resolution. We still look forward to the opportunity to do that, but at this point, unless there is engagement on it, we are required, I think, to move ahead with the filing as proposed. And as I said, we'd be happy to consider a revision to the project. That project as was there for the past 40+ years and has been used by generations of families there, including our applicants, is in the plans too, so you see what that scope is as well, Mr. Chairman. So with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Mike McGrath and then to Pam, and we can go from there. I will say, though, that as was pointed out, we are owners under, and therefore can properly file this notice of intent. We conferred with DEP on this. I conferred with DEP on this. DEP, within under 24 hours, issued the file number after I conferred with them and pointed out that, one, we are owners, and surely under the Tiddly v. DEQE Mass Appeals Court case that dates back to 1980, Comcoms and DEP are not, and DEQE at that point, decades ago, are not arbitrators of property rights. So we believe that surely the application is properly filed and before you to move ahead on from a Comcom review process. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mike McGrath. I'm a registered engineer and professional land surveyor. I work for Holmes & McGrath. My office prepared the plans and the notes of intent. I have brought copies of the some of the exhibits that I'm going to show you on the boards.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
This site is it's the end of Ferry Road. It is the Seapit River. The wetland resources that are existing on the site are coastal bank, land subject to coastal storm flowage. There's a salt marsh nearby. There's coastal beach, land under the ocean, land containing shellfish. I didn't darken it up, but you can see on your copy of the plan where the old footprint was that existed before. We have designed this pier in accordance with the DEP standards for small craft docks and also the Falmouth wetlands regulation. The former pier was non-compliant as far as depth, but the new design extends the float into suitable depth water. As far as the construction standards of the pier, the plan shows that there are piles driven every 20 feet. It will not affect the circulation of water nor sediment. There's a set of coastal stairs. There's an elevated walkway so people can walk underneath it, and then the pier is set at a normal elevation. There's a ramp down to 2 floats. The 2 floats total 100 square foot. As far as as far as the land containing shellfish, Pam Newbert will talk to that particular issue. But it is within a grant. In the notice of intent, there's a copy of the plan that we prepared in the 70s that shows that this is clearly within the grant. The grant plan did not show any of the existing piers at the time, but the grant goes by mean high water. We have the approval of the grant holder. The most important thing that you should be looking at, as far as I'm concerned, is, I'm sorry, I didn't keep one of those. I've attached 3 different colored plans of this particular exhibit.
Do you need one, Mike?
Yeah, please. Just for a moment.
Yeah. Sorry.
And the first one is exactly that. The second one is just a little blow up, and I did that so you could read the soundings better. The third one looks like this. And what we did is we took Pam Newbert's observations of the bottom, and we're showing that where the floats are was a sulfuric black mud layer. And if you look at the next sheet, she did find some scattered shellfish, but where the mooring area is designated, she didn't find any shellfish. So in the notice of intent, there's a description of 4 boats that historically have tied up at the old location of the pier, and there is first thing that goes in a man is the memory. There was a small whaler, there was a small sailboat, there was another motorized craft, and there was a rowboat or dinghy. And the ones that had the deepest draft was the Key West motorboat had 24 inches down, and the whaler had 24 inches down. And the wooden dinghy and the Sunfish both drew less than 6.5 feet. If you look at the depths here, we have a depth of 4.3, 5.4, 3.6, 5.9, 4.6. So there's more than sufficient depth. And the way that I designed this so the power boats can be on the outside and the 2 smaller craft, the dinghy and the little sailboat, can be on the inside. That's why the mooring area is shown. This will serve 4 families, the 4 families that have have historically used it. I have also included copies of the various photographs that are in the notice, but the coastal bank has been disturbed in this area. So these are photographs that are in the notice of intent. This is a photograph of 2012 showing as existing stairs down. There was a short boardwalk, and these were the piles. Seasonally, the applicants would bring these pieces down and basically install them over the bents. This is a copy of the land court plan showing that along this frontage of Sea Pit River, this was the only roadway that went down to the river. Then I gave you copies of a 2012, May 2012, showing you that the pier existed. Then I put on this copies of the photographs that are in the notice. 1988 shows children on, then this is 1987 through 1991, a photograph from 2012. Then I gave you aerial photographs. In 1975, though it's hard to make out, there was activity down in that area. These are taken in March. In Cape Cod, they take the aerial mapping used for photogrammetry in late March, early April. That's because there's an oak leaf that drops in that time period. So the only time they can actually see the ground when they're mapping is in March and April. Obviously, the platforms weren't on it. This was pre-1983, 1991 Hurricane Bob. This was after I arranged for those photographs. That was taken after. It was still there. 86. Again, in the March, you may not see the superstructure on it. And I give you photographs all the way around. So that I believe that there is sufficient proof that that structure existed for over 40 years. And I believe that that we meet all the performance standards for the approval of the replacement pier. As I said, the distance from mean high water to the furthest point is 89 feet. Your regulations require it to be 100. We have enough depth. We have extended, on this side, we consider this to be a property line. We have 11 foot. You have a regulation that says it has to be 10 foot. We have 3 to 6 foot depth, and I think we meet everything else. Obviously, you have standard conditions, but we say that by the use of the non-leaching timber components, there should be no adverse effect on the water quality. We won't allow pollutants to enter into water. The motors will not be run at the float. The float meets your performance standards. It'll be stored inland by taking it to a different place, retrieving it, and storing it outside of your jurisdiction. We'll display Zero Ferry Road. There's no lightings, and the Shellfish grant holder has approved the application. There's a letter in there that describes that grants his approval. He also reports that he harvested 3/4 shellfish, specifically oysters in that area. So now I'd like to turn over to Pamela Newbert, who will describe what she found in her shellfish study. Pam?
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Sure, thank you, Michael. My name is Pamela Newbert. I have a PhD in marine biology. I have been doing shellfish surveys in and around Cape Cod, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard for the past 20 years. I have a postdoctoral fellowship from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, and I currently hold a guest investigator appointment there. I have been studying shellfish, sediments, impacts of docks and piers and other anthropogenic impacts to shellfish, marine biology, benthic communities. That's what my career is. That's what my science background is. And I'm pleased to present with you the results of the study that I was asked to perform by Michael Graff in Glenwood. The shellfish survey that was performed following the performance standards set forth by the town of Falmouth. This has been included in the notice of intent with the results. I have done shellfish surveys for the town of Falmouth, and I am fully aware of the performance standards that need to be met for completing a shellfish survey to meet their specifications. As part of my survey, we use a specially designed rake, shellfish rake, that is lined with a 1/4-inch basket. So we're not just looking for the older adult-sized cohogs or commercial shellfish. We're looking for all species, not just shellfish itself, but we make observations of other benthic fauna, polychaetes, crustaceans, and we are particularly interested in documenting the smaller size because we want to get an assessment of the overall population of the shellfish in the area. As part of the study that we performed, we surveyed an area of 234 sites per the town's performance standards as set forth for new docks and piers. And within that area, that footprint that was surveyed, we found 101 cohogs and 5 oysters. I'd like to also point out that during the survey, which encompassed a footprint that Mike has laid out. Let me step away. During the survey, we also made notes of the sediment type, which is required. And as Mike mentioned, he has recorded the results that we documented. And in the area where in the mooring field, the sediment changed from a sandy, coarser mud type sediment to a silty or black layered mud type sediment that had fewer shellfish found in that region when compared to the coarser grained, sandier type sediment. And this area where the coarser grained mud is a preferred type of habitat for cohogs. We found no scallops, no soft shell clams. So with that summary of my shellfish study, I would be happy and pleased to entertain any questions.
Thank you. Jen?
Does that complete the entire presentation, Glenn?
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
I'm anticipating continuance.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a couple of things I want to add to the record. I would like to add the administrative, our record for 124 Ferry Road. That's the abutting property owner's seawall application. I think it would be important to add 188 Seapit River. That's your sit-home decision. That is a decision that the commission made on a dock project in Seapit River, and you were upheld by Superior Court with that. I would like to add the tropical storm Sandy regs that were issued by DEP. I believe that is 310 CMR 10613D. I'll have to get the citation of that. And also, I sent you and put in the record yesterday town council's guidance on burden of proof when reviewing certain types of evidence that's submitted to you, such as affidavits. So that was given to you yesterday. I respectfully disagree with Attorney Wood on it's only not meeting one performance standard. Throughout the application, it's referred to, community or community dock that has certain definitions. Dock does not meet that, does not meet the definition of a common dock. The 10-foot sideline setback off the properties, yes, but off the center line of the road that the main line is owned to, it does not meet. So you can weigh that. It does meet matching the property boundaries, but the Monroes and the Rose each own to the center line of Ferry Road, and it does not meet the setback from the center line of Ferry Road. So the board needs to look at that. I'm not at this point sure what the applicant is requesting. Are they requesting this dock or to rebuild the other one? That's not the choice of this board. That the applicant needs to determine what they want to put before you.
It's my understanding that this
This dock.
is what's being presented.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay?
Okay. And it does not meet the shellfish density requirements. It does trip that. And with all due respect to Atlantic oysters, they don't govern your regulation. They don't make a determination. You are protecting shellfish habitat. So, with that, the only other thing I have to say is that there is a discrepancy between what Mr. McGrath is showing on the current site plan as what was pre-existing and his site plan for a Chapter 91 license that was dated April 25th of 1990, which he points out that the dock is in disrepair, permit unknown, and only measures it out at that point to 15 feet, where he's showing it as pre-existing as 40 feet. So there's a discrepancy there between Mr. McGrath's current plan and what he did back in 1990, actually depicting this dock. With that, I'll save any additional comments. Yeah.
Thank you. There's my one. Mario.
Oh, one more thing, Mr. Chairman, this picture, I printed out, this actually shows what the area looked like after Tropical Storm Sandy. You can see pilings in there and debris from the structure floating in the water. It was taken 11/1/2012.
Mario.
I hardly know where to begin. I met with Mrs. Thoreau today,
Monroe.
just to see,
Monroe.
I'm sorry?
Monroe.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah. And trying to get my arms around this, I have a question for the chair or for staff. Is it within the purview of this commission to ascertain the existence or non-existence of a right-of-way or an easement?
No.
I didn't think it was. And we're not lawyers here. If there is an easement or a right-of-way here, I haven't seen it on a plan. Maybe Mike could elaborate on that. She maintained that there is no right-of-way or easement on Ferry Road. Ferry Road's a private road. Ownership goes to the center line. The crux of your argument, Mr. Wood, is that they rise to the level of landowner if they use the easement or right-of-way down to the water. Is that?
It's in the record, Mario, that our client says it.
Please go up to the podium. Thank you.
To answer that, Mario, it's in the record. It's been submitted as part of our filings, both by our office and in the notice of intent. It shows that the clients have easement rights down Ferry Road. There's a reason why this is called Ferry Road. There was a ferry there to get out to Washburn Island at the turn of the century. This way goes down to the water. It's shown on the registered land court plans as running along just as all the other properties are. So Ferry Road, in our view, clearly goes to mean low water. We have rights down to it. Mrs. Monroe suggests that because we don't have deeded rights in her half of the way, that somehow that's an issue, but we clearly have deeded rights in our deeds, referencing to the plan of record. It's all in your files, and therefore we meet the definition of owner That's all we need to meet. And all the other property right issues in our view, and I think in town council's view, are irrelevant. And I think that's why DEP, once they appreciated that fact, immediately issued the file number, because that was initially raised by this office, it would appear, as an issue of concern or potential concern, but I view it as a non-issue for this application legally.
Or maybe we could just address the environmental impact of what you're proposing. Get away from the legalisms for now. First of all, I don't have a problem at all with the rebuild of the staircase. You need a staircase down there. You've got a badly eroded coastal bank, and people are now actually rappelling down that coastal bank by way of a rope. There's nothing worse for an eroding coastal bank than have people using a rope to rappel down that face. And I would have that rope removed immediately. I don't know who put the rope there, but it's unacceptable.
There's many things that are unacceptable here. I can make a bigger list than that. But you're right that it's being used that way. We encourage the commission to jump in wherever they choose to or not choose to, but we didn't cause this problem. It's been brought upon our clients.
Well, who did? Who put the rope out there?
It's irrelevant for this hearing.
Carol Wayland.
Okay, so.
And I'm gonna slow this down, and I'm gonna be very direct. If there's any comments to be made, it'll be recognized by the chair, and then the chair will let you go up to the podium and you can make a response. This is all for the record, and things kind of move fast and people mumble. I just want everything nice and calm, and if you would, please go up, if you'd yield the podium.
Of course,
so that you
yes.
can. Thank you. You go up, and I'm going to ask you, for Mario, who you say put that rope?
Sure. To answer your question, Carol Wayland. And we had another neighbor come to throw a rope over and rappel down. And we had a nice conversation, and she agreed it wasn't what was best for the bank, so she did not do it.
And you are, just for the record?
I'm sorry, I'm Karen Monroe, 26 Ferry Road.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
As far as this being a rebuild.
One moment, Mark.
I'm sorry, I'm not,
No, I just want to know what's going on here now.
okay.
Yes,
Who are you?
I'm Carol Wayland,
Hi.
and my husband and I bought our cottage on Sea Pit Road in 1988. The dock existed then.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. Unless you're responding to what he had asked, a specific question, I don't need history, I don't need anything at this point in time. If you want to respond to whether you threw that rope down or not, that's fine.
Sure.
But I don't want a whole lot of back history. I just want a yes or no, and then further along, we can get other information if needed.
Yes, last summer, after 25 years of using Ferry Road and the stairs and the dock, it had been removed without notice to us or
Like I
without a
said.
permit. So yes, I threw a rope over the fence. I asked Mark Thoreau if he minded if I continued to get down to the water that way, and he sort of smiled. And I took that to be no objection. So half a dozen times last summer, I would go down the slope. It's probably 9 or 10 feet high right now, and the way it was regraded is much steeper than it ever used to be, so it would be unsafe to jump down there.
Okay.
And it's,
I anticipate your conversation will be again heard. I want to keep this short. I'm not trying to cut you off. I have an answer for Mario. I am going to open this up to public comment, and I think it would be a better time spent for you to have collected your thoughts and be able to respond a little bit more detail later. At this point in time, I just really want to move along the board. Please don't hesitate when I open it up to the public to put everything together so that the timeline that you want to discuss is more appropriate later. Right now, I really want to just keep this going on the board.
Okay, and I just wanted to continue that I have not put the rope down this summer. It's too steep even for me.
Thank you. Mario?
For the shellfish scientist,
Yes.
I understand there was an oyster grant in Seapit River somewhere nearby?
There is an oyster grant in Seapit River, yes.
Okay, is it,
The-
how
the-
close is it to the mooring field?
The area is designated as a commercial shellfish habitat. Mike McGrath can show that.
My name is Michael McGrath. In the notice of intent, there is a copy of the old plan that was part of the grant that went through the selection many years ago, and it's been renewed. We gave you a copy of the agriculture license, A11-04, dated March 23rd, 2011. That's the actual document. And then there's a plan that refers to dated 1986. And it comes up, mean high water. This whole
The whole area is part of the grant?
Yes, it used to be Olin, I'm sorry.
How many acres?
It used to be Olin Kelly's shellfish grant. It's been, instead of growing shellfish, they now grow oysters.
Right.
So in the notice, there's a report that describes how many oysters he has out here and how many he harvested last year.
And I take it the person who owns the grant hasn't given an opinion one way or the other on this project?
No, he approves it.
He
He has
approved it?
given you a written letter saying he
Excuse
has...
me, there's been a voluminous amount of material forwarded.
It's a massive license, includes probably
Do we have
half a
something
mile.
from the shellfish warden okaying this? Have you heard from the shellfish warden?
You have revised comments from the shellfish warden dated, give me 1 moment, and to correct Mike McGrath, Paul expressed in his letter says he has no objection, does not say he approves it.
There's no authority to.
He has no authority to approve it or not.
All right, I will read it. Atlantic Oyster LLC has no objection to the replacement of a pier extending from Ferry Road and recognizes that the replacement pier may be designed to meet current standards. And then he references the plan.
The harbor master sent us his revised comments dated April 3rd, 2014. Impacts on navigation would be similar to surrounding dock structures. At least, yes, mooring issues, at least one relocation will be required at the direction of the department and the expense of the applicant. Comments none. And recommendation, if the dock is approved based on pre-existing conditions, I recommend it be no longer than the one originally in this location.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I just make a quick comment on that? If you look at our record plan, there's a plan that's attached,
Yeah.
and it shows you that this projects no further than the pier that belongs to Monroe, nor to the pier that belongs to Thoreau. If you look at the sheet I gave you, which is, this is the tip of Thoreau's, that's the tip of Monroe's. If you draw a straight line, we're inside it. So if you follow his recommendations, the boats will be in much shallower water.
Thank you. Mario?
Just one other question. I know it's going to be a long hearing. I think Mr. Wood maintained that this was a perfectly good, which really was kind of a dinghy dock there before, that it was in good maintenance and everything. But I understand Hurricane Sandy pretty much wiped it out. There were only a few pilings left. And I believe the conservation administrator asked that they be removed, and the landowner acceded to that.
We utterly
Not
disagree
correct.
with that
That's not-
assessment
That's not how it
whatsoever.
happened?
We utterly
Correct me if
disagree
I'm
with that
wrong.
assessment. There was no damage done of any significance whatsoever to the dock or stairway during Sandy. In the notice of intent, please read it. I encourage you to. There's photographs that show the pilings just before Sandy and just after Sandy. They're perfectly fine. Just before Sandy, the sections of dock were, as a precaution, as one would do pulling a boat before a hurricane, we've all done that, they were removed and put behind the bulkhead. The sections were not damaged because they were removed prior to it. The supposed debris is just debris. That isn't, the bulkhead itself was damaged during Sandy, which is not our project or not within our control. The stairways were not damaged. There was, and this is, again, not, I don't want to get into the history of this, Mario, but there were representations made that in order to approve the Thoreau bulkhead and build what is there now, which is a substantial straight vertical bulkhead, this commission was requiring the Thoreaus.
Whoa.
Way outside.
Excuse me.
No, I'm just saying that that's what was represented to our clients, and that's what this commission was requesting. That isn't the case. This commission wasn't requesting that, and it's not even contained within the order of conditions for the Thoreau bulkhead. Our clients agreed to the temporary removal of the stairway and the piling based on the understanding that everyone would work together to reestablish it thereafter. There was, the selectmen were alerted to this prior to its removal, with concerns that we would run into this exact problem that we were, but there was no damage to this dock, the stairway during Sandy, bottom line.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to respectfully disagree with Attorney Wood. That photo right there does show the pilings. It shows a section of the staircase and the platform leading out to the floats as damaged. Hurricane Sandy regulations said if something was more than 50% damaged and did not contain a Chapter 91 license, it would need to be re-permitted. I myself, I know the board went down there and looked at the wall for the property, which is why 124 is being included in the record.
Sadly, we didn't have the opportunity to do that because it was removed without our assent whatsoever. And
I
with,
can tell you, Mr. Wood, when I went down to go down the stairs, I chose not to go down them because they were in such disrepair. Had to walk around to the other side of the property and actually had to put on a set of waiters in order to review the proposed project before the board. So I will respectfully, again, disagree. The steps were in disrepair.
disrepair doesn't mean that it can't be nominal repair. We have a number of signed affidavits that contest what's been said that have been filed in court. Our clients have indicated that it wasn't damaged in any significant way whatsoever. Those are affidavits filed in court.
Thank you.
And further, I would point out that it would appear that the Concom office, not this commission, in some interesting and unique administrative way, allowed or authorized the removal of this without any knowledge or reaching out to who owned it. It was clear that Thoreau's didn't own the dock or the stairways. They have their own. It's interesting that some kind of filing of any sort wasn't put in. There's nothing but for a little bit of email exchange that, again, is part of the record. This commission, it should have gone to this commission. Our clients should have had the opportunity to deal with this. This never should have happened.
Thank you. Mario?
That's all for now.
Okay. Mary?
I'm considering whether I have any questions left that are within the boundaries we've established here. So I think I'd like to pass it along for now.
Russ?
Hey, Mike, how much longer is this new dock than the old one, I guess? Wait a minute, how much longer is it?
I'm searching for my scale. It might be easier if I...
48 feet, 47 feet, something like that.
47 feet longer?
48, 47, something like that, around there.
No.
From the little dot one? 20 scale plan, correct?
Yes. This is Michael McGrath. I'm scaling on the plan. Yes, she's right, 47 feet.
47 feet.
That's from this site plan. If you go off of Mike's 1990 site plan, I'm right.
Mr. Chairman, when we did the permitting plan for Truman Schnabel, the former owner of Monroe's, we showed the outline of what existed in 1990. And as those plans are in your file, and we did label the plan to be labeled up here at that time in disrepair. However, a surveyor goes out there, he takes a one-time shot, a one-time set of observations. The other point, in 1990, we would have used stadia. Stadia means that you read the distance by examining there are 3 crosshairs. One is level, and then there's one lower crosshair and an upper crosshair. And if you count the number of hundredths of a foot that are in between, that's a distance. And it can be off compared, it's less precise than the surveys we do today. Today we do electronic distance meters where we measure everything precisely. So there is a difference between where we showed it in 1990 and where it is today. As shown on my plan, but it's more a tolerance of the survey than anything else.
Thank you. Russ?
Mr. Wood, if the commission were to issue orders of condition for this, who would it be to? Who would the order of conditions be issued to? Because you said there was four parties involved.
It would be issued to the applicants.
Applicants, so everybody would have that on their deed? You know what I'm saying? Who would be responsible if there was an issue that came up?
Sure.
Who's responsible for this?
The applicants.
Applicants, so there'd be 4 people, there would be one contact person, there's not an association or anything like that.
There's no association. This was used as historically a community dock, and was used that way, and the affidavits by the former owners of Thoreau and Monroe had every understanding, and were entirely in support of it for decades. So yeah, it would just be the same as any situation where there might be multiple parties. I mean, it's not a big procedural issue, as I see it.
I got nothing else at this time.
I mean, I think, with all due respect, I think that's probably a fairly, procedural minor issue in the bigger scope of it. But I think it's very workable.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, realize again that on each
So
of
if
these,
there's a problem, where do we go, in other words?
to the applicants, realize that on each one of these people's, the applicant's deeds, they reference back to the registered land court plan for Ferry Road. And so that's already in the registry, it's already recorded, so I don't see that as a significant
Comes under
problem.
my minor issue.
Yeah.
Mary?
I'd just like to follow up on
Yes,
this
ma'am.
question, because I think that the answer you're giving is not necessarily what's being heard.
Okay.
Is it the case that the 4 families who are intended to share this use of this dock are the applicants, or are the applicants David and Martha Casales or Casillas? Who are the applicants?
The applicants are those that are filed, the applicants are those people that are on the notice of intent.
So
So
that
the
would
order
be
of-
David and Martha Casales?
Right,
Okay.
right,
So not 4 parties?
fine. I mean, there's a difference, again, between an order of conditions and its permitting and construction and compliance, and those that, as a matter of law, have the ability to use it. The complaint that we have in land court, one way or the other, through judicial determination or settlement, will determine that, which again is outside of the commission's purview.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mike?
Mike, the fetch in the northeast to the proposed dock, I'm thinking, what happens during that northeast wind and where that float goes?
I'm looking for a map that has the whole of the, I'm so used to being worrying about the south wind, I never even considered the northeast wind.
Yeah, well, for the most part,
Pardon me?
in the most part, it's a winter thing and the float won't be there, but there is that northeast wind that comes up during that H word that I don't like to use.
I will have to get back to you because none of the maps I have show the distance up to the head of Walkway Bay.
Well, let's get back to, my concern here, and I guess part of it is how do we address that? Assuming this thing gets permitted, and we don't, how do we get that dock out of there in a timely manner so that it doesn't go into one of our resource areas?
What I described is that it would be, I described that the floats would be taken away to a landing and brought and retrieved.
For winter storage,
stored
right?
in- Well, there's at least two landings nearby. White's Landing is up the river, and then
Okay.
there's a local one up the street a little bit.
Then I suppose we can put something in an order of conditions that talks about what's going to happen to that storm, that dock during potential events.
I think it's an appropriate condition that in the event of a significant storm where there's notice, they should remove the floats.
Okay. No further question.
Mike, at this point in time, I'm going to open up to the audience in a moment, and how that's going to go, I'm going to explain how that's going to go so nobody gets panicked. If I feel that the board, I'm going to ask the board, poll them, if they feel they have enough information to close this and take it under advisement, we're going to take a motion, take a second. I'm not closing the hearing, we're not taking a vote. We're going to open up to the floor so that we can address everybody's comments and get them on record as well, right? And one of my questions is, at this time, you are not seeking any variances.
Mr. Chairman, Jennifer has reported to you that we do need a variance. So she's also placed on the record 3 pieces of information we've never seen before. So it's appropriate. We do ask for a continuance because...
No, I said variance, if you want, you're talking continuance, I asked about variance.
Well, she asserted we need a variance, so we need to respond in writing one way or the other. You said we did not meet a performance standards of the regulation.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we weren't exactly sure what the commission would feel on that or not. I mean, we're expecting a continuance, and we would be ourselves so that we can review and respond to the Shellfish Constable's report and other things. I mean, we are requesting a continuance. We are not looking for a closing this evening.
That's good to know.
Thank you.
Is there a date that you would like to continue this to?
At your convenience.
And realize, anyone that's here for this, when there is a continuance, you do not get re-notified, okay? So that when you're here, this is a good time to understand when the next continuance is.
Are you meeting in August?
I'm trying to determine, Mike, if it's going to be the 6th or the 20th. We don't meet on the 13th.
I already
do the
Uh,
6th.
I would agree.
Or you can have the 27th. Is the 27th available too, Mike?
I request that we continue the hearing to August 27th.
Can I have a motion?
On the applicant.
I'm assuming, though, that you're going to still take testimony from people that
Mike,
come.
didn't I've tried to be it's the new sheriff in town. The gavel's out,
I
okay?
heard you.
I said that we would take a motion, take a second, and I would not close the hearing or do anything till I had other people's comments for the record. And that, from henceforth, shall be how things are done. A motion, a second, and open it up to the audience. And that is my delight to have a motion presented.
On behalf
Go,
of the
ma'am.
applicant, I move that the hearing be continued to August 27th.
Second.
Okay. At this point in time, I'd like to open up to the audience. Anyone who would like to make comment, please do so one at a time after recognizing from the chair up at the podium. Yes.
Thank you, and good evening. Luke Legere McGregor and Associates. I represent the Thoreau and Monroe families, the abutters to the end of Ferry Road, who own the property on which this project is proposed. You have a letter from me submitted last week that goes into great detail on some of the property issues we've been skirting around this evening. I shall not get into those. I understand you do not wish to hear about those. We did think it important to get them in the record, though.
Yes.
Turning to the merits of this application itself, as was recognized earlier, the commission has in front of it these plans. We heard references to an old dock. Applicants would be happy to go back to the old dock. That's not what is currently proposed. This is what is proposed, and it's being set forth as a reconstruction. This is not a reconstruction. This is an entirely new dock. It is on a new property, an entirely different property than the old structures. It is significantly longer. We heard 47 feet longer than the old dock was. The footprint, the area of this is far, far in excess of what was there previously. Under no definition of reconstruction would this possibly apply. This could not be at all considered repair and maintenance of a prior existing dock. There was reference to the 1990 McGrath plan, which does show this dock and as an existing pier and bulkhead in disrepair. That is attached to our letter as Exhibit C. It may be elsewhere in the record, but it's certainly there. Turning to the FWR design standards, Jen stole a lot of my thunder earlier with her comments, but certainly this project is within significant shellfish habitat. That's been recognized. The applicant has requested a waiver. I'd certainly call it a variance. There's been no mention of hardship. The applicant would need to establish with the commission what hardship would lead them to need a variance. Haven't heard the word hardship, don't see it anywhere in the notice of intent. No mention at all of any hardship that would prevent them from doing that. They have produced a survey. No real explanation for why they couldn't produce the full study that the commission would normally require. That survey does certainly reflect that this proposal is set in land or land underwater shellfish habitat, which has about 3 times the allowable shellfish density under the commission's regulations. And I think that's certainly something that the commission needs to keep in mind. I know Jen has incorporated into the record the commission's record from the Sidholm matter. That was a case just down the street from this, where the Conservation Commission denied a proposed dock very similar to this. The Superior Court.
Excuse me one moment.
Certainly.
If there's any other comments that you need to, please take it outside in the hall. It's a little distracting for myself.
I apologize. I was just wondering, asking if the rules would allow me to respond to some of the statements.
Absolutely. I'm more than delighted to have information, but truly, when someone's at the podium, discussion among the audience is frowned upon because it's distracting.
Thank you very much. I certainly do appreciate that. To finish the thought, the Sidone case was one extremely similar to this, just down the road from this proposed project. The commission denied that proposed dock, and the Superior Court upheld the commission in that case, I think about 5 years ago or so. As Jen mentioned, we would agree that this proposal does not meet the commission's setback requirements. The Monroes and Thoreaus own out to the middle of Ferry Road. This simply can't satisfy that requirement, and it doesn't as proposed. It's not clear to us at all either what exactly this is. It seems to be referred to as a common dock or a community dock. It certainly doesn't meet the commission's definition of a common dock. It can't be a common shared dock because it's not proposed by two waterfront owners. It's not a community dock under the commission's regulations. So again, I think the commission needs to take a long, hard look at what precisely this is and where it fits within your regulations and how you could permit it. I think there also needs to be greater clarity from the applicants on, I think, number one, exactly who would be using this dock. We heard some questions trying to nail down exactly who the applicants are. I believe the notice of intent says et al. Who is that? I think the commission would be well served to understand that as well. We look forward to taking part in this hearing as it continues, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Would you like to respond to some of that?
Yes, sir. I'd like to respond to the comments made by Attorney Legere. The attorney is an attorney. He's not a scientist. And I'd like to point out that I've done many surveys for shellfish habitat. I'd like to also note that this area was well populated. It's true. There were lots of shellfish. There was plenty of shellfish here. And this area is used by the Thoreaus. It's used by the Monroes actively by their boats, by their docks, and they have that privilege to use that area. Yet the shellfish exist, and the shellfish are doing well. The shellfish, this pier that was here before for the whalers, the shellfish were there. I have done many surveys in the past where I have seen more shellfish located around the docks and piers than they are in areas that are open. And whether this is because it's more difficult for predators to pick them up like seagulls, or because they're not as easily recovered from under docks and piers, but I have seen evidence where shellfish and docks and piers and boats can coexist. It's not something that's completely exclusive. I hesitate to use the term significant because that's a scientific term. And you must be careful when you use terms like significant, significantly longer, significantly different, significantly otherwise. We need to be careful when we talk about scientific terms in this sense. Have there been statistical tests that suggest that something might be significant or not? What I can say is that there is a good population of shellfish there, and there is no reason to believe that there shouldn't continue to be a good population of shellfish there, with or without the proposed project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you leave the podium, we have,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner has a question.
Would the shellfish population be better served with a dock of the existing or the previous dock, or the longer dock which would keep the prop wash away from the shellfish? And please recognize you're addressing a civil engineer who really doesn't appreciate what the clams would like or not like.
Well, that's part of my job.
Okay.
And to understand what the clams do and don't like. And I would say that the way Mike has cleverly designed the proposed project, so that it meets the town requirements, so that there will be no impact. There is no, that it meets the town's depth requirements, so that it avoids impact to the shellfish habitat. So whether this dock is shorter and extends, and does not extend all, to the limit that Mike has designed, or it does extend to the limit where it's designed, it meets the performance standards by the town.
I don't think I made my question clear enough. The density of,
Well, the density
There's a
of the
densi-
shellfish further off, we found fewer density of shellfish in the deeper water than we did in the nearshore water. And that's largely because of the type of sediment that we found in the deeper water, which contained sulfides and was largely anoxic. Now, what you asked me what the shellfish prefer and what kind of
well,
habitat.
part of it, where I'm coming from, is you're going to be, by going further out, you're adding area. If we go back to the smaller,
there's fewer.
we've got, so are we better off serving, if it goes this way, we're going to be asked to make something, and the question is, I'm trying to figure out what is best for the environment of that seabed.
The town of Falmouth puts forth its performance standards, and the stock is designed to meet those performance standards. So it will not affect shellfish habitat because it meets those standards. There's fewer shellfish in the deeper water, so should you have a mooring field in deeper water, there's fewer shellfish, so fewer impact to shellfish. But if I might just add that what shellfish prefer is cleaner water quality. And I opine that in order to proliferate shellfish habitat in Cape Cod in general, not just in Falmouth, not just locally in one little area, but we need to clean up our water quality. Because if we do not address our problems with eutrophication and nitrogen loading, our shellfish populations will continue to decline. It's not about a pier, a single pier, where there's already been shown evidence that the shellfish and piers can coexist here. It's about making sure that our water quality is cleaned up for the future. That will best protect our shellfish habitat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do not go away.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you said that.
Thank you.
If I may interject, I think his brief was longer or shorter would be better. And I'm going to be using your testimony. in the
About water
future.
quality?
Yeah, in the future. I think
Clean
that's,
up
I
the
find
water.
I find that very compelling, that there's some language here that's been said and is on the record. And you've got to be careful what you wish for. You know, it's good information that was just presented to me, and I appreciate that. I've been longing for somebody to say something along those lines for a long time. And
Well,
I appreciate it.
I take that to heart. Thank you.
Mario.
First of all, I don't regard this as a reconstruction or rebuild. I'm sorry. It was tabula rasa out there after the pilings were pulled. Okay? So this, I don't think this should be, I mean, look at the size of this project compared to the little dinghy dock that was there. How can they call this a reconstruction? We're talking about 13, 12-inch piles being driven into the shellfish plant. How many boats are proposed for this facility?
I believe
I've
there's-
heard a figure, but I just want to know if you have one of your own.
In the notice of intent, Mario, it lists the 4 boats that are going to be tied up at this shared pier. The 4 boats. There's a whaler, there's another motorized craft, there's a small sailboat and a small dinghy. I described how the way that I designed that was that there's enough space along here for the whaler and the motorboat, and I described that the dinghy and the small sailfish can fit on the inside.
That's That's considerably less than what I heard, so I'll take your word for it.
Well, I wrote it in the notice. It's written down as a commitment.
Okay. CCA treated, ACQ,
What we wrote in the notice was that there would be no CCA-treated lumber. You prohibit it. And we described it as the piles would be either treated with non-CCA or they'd be vinyl coated, and the same with the lumber. We described it would be salt-tolerant ACQ or something similar, but it would not be CCA-treated lumber.
ACQ, there's copper in that.
I don't know what's in it, to be blunt.
This copper's toxic to shellfish.
Well, we can use other materials. If you think there's something wrong with that material, we'll change and put down what is an appropriate material.
I'm going to go to the administrator and then to the audience.
Just a couple of things. Mike, when you come back with a revised plan, can you get me a sounding right inside that L section, please?
Sure.
Right on where you have mooring SR 00. That must be Secret River Mooring Secret. So you gave me the sounding for...
I'm going to point. You want it right there on the inside of the L?
Yeah, well, on the inside of the L with the mooring field where you're saying one boat will be tied up.
Yes.
Okay.
A little. And on the other side where the other boat you said is going to be tied up. And it was just your testimony that you designed the dock, the pier, and float so that the seaward side, right, is 16 feet long, right, in linear length, 5 by 12 and a 4 by 10?
Yes.
Yes.
And you're going
Yes.
to tie up the motorboat and the whaler,
Yes.
which measure 30 feet total length.
They can overhang.
Okay, I'm just
Just being clear.
being clear that 15 feet of those boats are going to be overhanging on either side, and that's not counting the space you're going to have in between.
I understand.
Okay, and just clarifying what you said. And that said, the board does need to determine what this is, because usually when you see a dock, you only allow one boat to be tied up, so it does need to be defined.
And I think that that's duly noted.
Yep.
And I expect an appropriate description of that at the next hearing.
Thank you.
How about, there's been a woman that I would like to give the podium to. She earlier was very patient on that.
Thank you. Carol Wayland again, and I've probably been in the neighborhood the longest of anybody here, and it was 1988 when we bought the cottage. The dock and the stairs were existing. It was a very congenial neighborhood with the two previous waterfront owners having their own dock, recognizing that the Ferry Road stairs and dock were for use of the residents that didn't have waterfront property. This happens all up and down Seapit Road. I just wanted to flesh out the history a little bit to you. The land court plan of 1926, which is in the notice of intent, clearly shows all of the streets and ways on the plan. And almost everybody's certificate of title has language in them which recognizes the right to, subject to, and with the benefit of the rights of way on the streets and ways. Ferry Road happens to be 40 feet wide. It's not a footpath. It was not just a way to get to look to the vista over at Washburn Island. It was actually used by all of the neighbors to get their small boats down, and over the decades, different families have been involved, but it has been heavily and continuously used for decades. It's a wonderful site, and nothing that we would, it's just hard to explain how ingrained it was and how the neighbors pulled together, helped each other out. We even had every year we'd have a sunfish race around Washburn Island, and it ended up with a picnic in the joint backyards. And now we're in a very uncomfortable situation where we're unable to enjoy something that was a property right that was very important to us. We missed last summer's enjoyment because of the improper removal of the steps and the pier, and this summer is going down the same path. It's just very, very hard to fathom. I also want to refute any assertion that the stairs were substantially damaged. Before Superstorm Sandy, my husband and son and Alex Hammer, who also is an abutting neighbor, carried 3 sections of very heavy dock up those stairs, and each of those guys weighs more than 200 pounds. They had no problem getting the 3 sections of dock up. There was one open side to the stairway, and we used that in order to slip kayaks down. But there was nothing that couldn't have been repaired in an afternoon. The dock itself, as we said, the sections were carried up, and the piers remained in the water perfectly upright. The picture with the swans swimming by it shows that they're perfectly upright, and there's no reason whatsoever to remove those. And then finally, you were a little confused about who are the applicants and who would be responsible. Well, we never had a neighborhood association. We didn't need one. People were congenial. They understood each other's rights. We all pitched in. If anything, if a tread needed to be replaced, we did it. It may be necessary if a new dock is approved and built for us to form an association so that we can allocate the space on the dock. Because surely people who want to bring down a kayak, they're not going to probably leave it down there, they're going to take it up. But anybody who wants to tie up a dinghy or a sunfish or a whaler, we would have to allocate space. And it's not only, Okay, it's not only the applicants of this, probably 6 other people in the area have the same language in their deeds. So we would need to, but it's never been heavily used by more than 3 or 4 families. Olga DiVittorio would be one, she's just opposite. Tim Tipton would be another. John Peterson would be another. Barbara Hatzman would be another. Her property, which I think was just sold to Mark Thoreau, also has the same language. She has a right-of-way down Ferry Road. So there are a number of people with a very clear property right, and that would need to be figured out. But we have not done that yet because we didn't need to in the past.
Yes.
So you said you purchased a property in '88, and you've been maintaining the dock since '88. You never thought to legalize it? You never thought to file an RDA? You never thought to license it?
It was commonly known, certainly the harbor master, the town, the neighbors, and nobody ever suggested.
Property permitted. This office had no idea who owned that dock. That's their case. We had no idea.
Of course, it was built before the commission was created.
I asked you why, since '88, if you claim that you were maintaining the dock, you never permitted it or never licensed it.
It existed before.
That doesn't matter. It did not exist before Chapter 91.
What, before the FCC?
It did not exist before Chapter 91. So it should have, at the very least, been licensed.
Unfortunately, the history of this is that I think we all can acknowledge that it was an unpermitted,
Yeah.
and that's one of the clouds that we're walking through right now.
Mr. Chair, it's not unpermitted. It's a grandfathered, was
Well,
grandfathered existing, may I finish, please?
Yes.
It's grandfathered and legal as it existed until removed under the Wetlands Protection Act and under the Home Rule Wetland Bylaw. One doesn't need to file an RDA for something that's been around for decades. It's the same as someone had a porch that they had since 1950, and all of a sudden you have a buffer zone to your AC, Black Beach ACEC. All of a sudden something becomes jurisdictional out of the blue because there's some new regulatory program. Yes, it was unlicensed under Chapter 91. It never was licensed under that effort that was made 20 years ago. But it was an unlicensed Chapter 91 structure. Chapter 91 dates back hundreds of years in terms of jurisdiction. But Chapter 91 is surely not within the purview of the Concom or the Concom office. But surely these people never needed to come before this commission to continue to maintain a pre-existing grandfathered structure. Thank you.
Well, one moment. I'm gonna step in that. Even I will, like that little cloud that I was walking through, if I said unpermitted and it was not as in unlicensed, whatever I was grabbing for, activities on any of the structures that are in the water, substantial repairs do require a permit. Building code, replacing 2 shingles don't need to, but what standard contributes to a substantial repair? And that triggers it's not a no, it's a recognition of we have to repair something. And unfortunately, no one ever said, we have to repair this. No one ever took the initiative to do that. No one claimed it as in what is now. Everybody's stepping up to the plate now because it's not there. You don't know what you got till it's gone. That's been running through my head since the first time I walked down that bank. And it was a little sketchy for me to go down the stairs one time, I'll be honest with you. It was, it was undermined and it was in disrepair. And I can say that, because that's what I did. All right? I don't want to keep stepping in the same rut. But unfortunately, now everybody's willing to put effort forward. And understandably so, especially with the history of it. But then, it was all taken for granted. It doesn't mean that there isn't culpability in maintenance. It doesn't mean that it goes unrecognized, particularly when it's generational, when it's used by multiple families. It's a liability. Gosh forbid somebody had ever gotten hurt. Well, who's the one, where would that finger have been pointed? I don't even want to go in that room. What I'm looking at tonight is people that no longer had something that they were used to being able to use. And I have great empathy. You have no idea about recognizing something that's gone. Okay? I truly can empathize with that. My charge is with the project that's in front of us. We're going to be taking all this testimony, yours, Mr. Wood, the other counselor, and then when we do close this, we are going to deliberate on it. And upon that time, it is then our onus to figure out where the regulatory bounds for this project lay. And that's what we're going to do. This is all information for us right now. And I do appreciate everyone's responses. It's been very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that 1/3 of the waterfront structures either don't comply with the 91 or even don't have a 91. I am currently, for instance, engaged in licensing, something like 1,000 cubic yards of fill that was placed in the wrong place in 1908. So you have to understand that there's a lot of people out there that are not cognizant about all these permits, and these kind of problems exist all the time. The one thing I want to make sure of is that you've all, when Jennifer talks about bringing in the files, that I filed written testimony on the notice of intent that was next door, and I don't have the required copies, but I wanted to remind the commission about the exhibits that I gave, because if you look at these exhibits, you will understand, I gave you a photograph, it was 2012, taken from Truman Schnabel's
Thank you.
pier. I don't have enough. The next photograph,
Give that to Jen.
but the next photograph,
Same one.
They're out in the file.
Right there.
I'm submitting them now.
Okay.
The next photograph is a photograph from the ocean, I'm sorry, not from the ocean, from the river, that shows the existing bank and the developed lot to the,
North.
it shows you, I'm sorry, it shows you what exists here and this,
Right.
the vinyl siding. It also shows that the final siding comes up. There was a letter that I would refer you to that you would look at sometime. I don't have enough copies, but I know that there's at least 2 commissioners that weren't here for that, and I'll bring more copies for the next hearing. But basically, I described that what was done here, what exists today doesn't comply with the order. So when you consider the objections of people, you should look at what they've done as far as the act is concerned. Thank you.
Mike, can I make one suggestion, please?
Yes.
The letter,
Mary,
if you're gonna
any one
sub-
of those in
If you're going
file.
to submit more for the
I'll
file,
submit 12 copies of everything.
yeah, just do it earlier than
Oh,
at the hearing.
I know,
Okay.
Mike, you want me to just put this in that you're June 11, 2014 for 26?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you, Mike. Going back to the audience. Yes. One moment, you're going to have to be a little more clear for the record.
My name is Mark Thero, owner of the property south of this proposed dock. Proposed on my half, or used to be on the other. Just wanted to clarify a few things about the removal of the dock. After Hurricane Sandy, as the committee knows, when the bulkhead was wiped out, the bulkhead was contingent with the stone wall that goes to Monroe's property, all the way across, or the whole thing was collapsed. So when I cut it at Ferry Road, the bulkhead, the collapsed bulkhead. And we started, so this was, we're talking, after I got my permit, it was 4 months. So these people had 5 months.
If you can step behind the mic,
They had
please.
5 months to come to conservation to deal with that staircase, which was a liability to the Monroes. And I suggested it. No one came to conservation. So finally Jennifer said, take it out. It's a hazard. It was a hazard. So I did. And that's what happened here. None of these neighbors came to conservation. They had 5 months before I took that out, after Hurricane Sandy. I took it out in March 2013. Sandy was in October 2012.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to let you know, you may, Mr. Thoreau suggests we were asleep at the switch. We were not. He told us that he was ordered to take that out by the commission, and in fact, it was a condition of his project. At the time, he was a friend, and he said he would assist us in rebuilding. That's why we didn't come to the Concom.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments from the audience? Okay, I believe we have a motion on the table for a continuance. If there's no further comment from the board or from the audience, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor of continuance till July, no, I'm sorry, August 27th?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? So moved. I would like to remind any of the people here that want to see this in the future, you will not be re-notified. The continuance is August 27th. Any comments and such? If you want, please go down the hallway. We still have more work to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Susan, what can I do to be more helpful? Just try to get him at the speaker? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any comments, out, all right, down. I have more work to do. Thank you. All right, next up is a continued request for hearing under notice of intent. Robert and Mary Riley, 23 East Avenue, North Falmouth, Mass., for permission to remove the front deck, stairs, and concrete walk, construct a porch, add an addition and a second floor addition, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Wow.
I'm gonna save any of my comments left on the presentation.
Thank you.
The Clippy, coming to you.
Good evening, Mr. Bunker.
Good catch.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker with DSS Design. I prepared this plan for the Rileys, 23 East Ave, Silver Beach. If there are any questions, Denise Benoli, who's the architect for this project. See, we have the property here. It's a fairly small lot, 6,340 square feet. It is in Silver Beach as a single-family house. It's an area that's on the town sewer that's in there, so there's no septic system to contend with. But because it's a 3-bedroom, and that's the maximum they're allowed, they're not adding a bedroom, we're sticking with 3. House is in a flood zone. It's up to elevation 15, and it is across East Avenue from a bordering vegetated wetland. So I have on there the red lines. You have a 50-foot A zone is back here, across where the front steps come down from the house, and then the 100 feet from the wetland is back here. So basically, the entire lot is within 100 feet of the wetland. There is, because it's a flood zone, there is some coastal bank, but it's up in this area, actually somewhat almost off the lot, some fill associated with this house, and then there's some slope there and walls that could be considered a coastal bank, but we're downhill from there. The rest of the lot is actually pretty flat, gently sloping. So what they're going to do is, you see this, there's some steps coming down, and that concrete walk is going to be removed. That's in the A zone, so actually removing 82 square feet of coverage from the A zone. And then it'll be, the deck here now is going to be made into a porch, and the steps are going to be going off to the side. So none of that increase is in the A zone, and then there's also an addition in the back here. So there's the removal is 82 square feet in the A zone, 17 square feet in the B zone, and the some addition here is 137 square feet of addition. So actually a net increase only in the B zone, further from the wetland, is 38 square feet. B zone requiring 2-to-1 mitigation, so we have 76 square feet, which we've proposed just with some native shrubs over on the side of the property against the neighbor's driveway. The limit of work, perhaps a little unconventional, we have on the opposite side of the road from the project, but I think that's the best place for the limit of work, to keep people from parking on this side, protect the wetland. Limit of work on the property would just be an encumbrance and make it more difficult for people to do the work. So I think that's the better location for the straw bale silt fence there. this area right here is also going to add a second floor, but as I said, there's no new bedrooms. Some of the first floor rooms are going to be combined into larger rooms, and then rooms added up on the second floor, so it's still a three-bedroom house in here. And dry wells we put around the house for the roof runoff. That's the project. Any questions?
Jennifer?
Okay, now I understand. Drywall details, huh?
Damn, got it.
New sheriff, drywall detail, you guys have been told multiple times, each and every one of you.
Absolutely.
And it's
Usually
always one
get
of these
that.
things you guys look down and go, look, I forgot it. Just try to remember to include it with the applications, and then we don't have to go down this road. Other than that, I have no other questions. And I just did that to steal Tom's thunder.
Mario?
You could set off a small nuclear device on this lot and it wouldn't affect that Fred Mighty Marsh, I'll tell you
I
that.
know.
You know, I mean,
I
really.
know.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with this.
No questions.
No problem.
The depression on East Avenue, the lowest point on that road is directly across. So when you're putting those hay bales, do something to be sure we don't get flooding. You get all the runoff coming both ends of the street, east and west to that low point, and that's, you know, you're going to put in your hay bales there, so.
So the bales don't dam up anymore?
Yeah, you don't dam up.
Have an opening there?
Yeah, something, that's it.
I would agree, if your intent is to help discourage parking, as much as I am in favor of scratchy stuff to keep people away from things, this is not an area where I'd put something scratchy, metal stakes or anything like that. A section of, you know, around your trees, I like to see vehicles, you know, to protect the roots, maybe use metal stakes instead of wood because it leaves a mark and lets you remember what you hit. Here, I think that construction fence with some stakes would definitely, behind that, even a sock. And if you put the sock and you go opposite and give it a way to run through, just do an end run, hit the surge, and then do that. If your intent is to keep people from parking, I don't think a straw bale is going to do it. Sometimes people are not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, and if you put a visual barrier of construction fence appropriately off the pavement, you know, in an area that is acceptable, I think that would accomplish quite a bit as well. Outside of that, the dry well detail was already addressed. If we have enough information to close this, I'd take a motion.
Make a motion to close the hearing, take it under advisement.
Second.
Thank you. Could I ask a favor of your staff? We have the Board of Appeals hearing tomorrow. Is it possible to get some kind of a note to
Send me an
Cerise?
email tomorrow, and I'll run upstairs and let Serena know, and just let her know we reviewed it for the hearing, and that I don't anticipate any problems, or I'll shoot her a quick email.
All right.
Just remind me tomorrow to come, I'm in and out all day, so,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
With that caveat, can call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we get to other business. Actually, do we want to vote the orders first?
Up to you.
Sure, get them done.
Yeah,
What kind of power do you have now?
well, we'll skip over the other business for a moment and go to the voting of orders and conditions. The first is Surf Drive and Mill Road, the town of Falmouth.
Can you do me a favor and look back and grab me the quorum on that? I want to say it's going to be Mario, Russ, Mike, and Tom.
I believe it is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
correct.
think it is correct, so we're gonna have to wait
Which
for
one is this, Surf Drive?
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
this is the drainage improvements for Surf Drive.
Yeah, the
It's
swale.
pretty much straightforward. They propose to reestablish the dune in that area that's used for parking. that Salt Pond Area Bird Sanctuary is planned, I believe.
Yep.
Guardrails, the only thing I would ask the board to do is to condition it to maintain access to these parcels. They don't want to be closed off. The 300 committee, I know, has a parcel over there in Salt Pond Area Bird Sanctuaries. So we want to make sure that during the project and afterwards, these parcels can still be accessed. Because some of them have little paths through the dune on the seaward side of Surf Drive. And we want to maintain access to the parcels.
The only section of guardrail, the proposed guardrail,
I thought it was at the end.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is, although they do have an arrow going to Surf Drive.
Yeah. I have to call the town engineering department and clarify exactly where this guardrail is going to go.
And do we want, are you suggesting that we put a
No, I'm
break in the-
suggesting remaining access on the seaward side.
seaward side? I
Yeah.
apologize, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll have to wait for Mario to come back, but is there any other discussion on the project that's presented?
Yeah, we'll just reference the operational and maintenance plan that Bravo included in the notice. It was a good operational maintenance plan, very thorough, it was included in the notice.
Yes.
They did the calculations, I mean, one of the reasons we didn't approve this under the RDA is we brought, we wanted to
That's right.
condition it and make sure that the calculations for that basin that was created to handle the flooding on Mill Road can also handle the flooding on Surf Drive. That's a lot of water that accumulated, a lot of water.
And it did today.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
it does.
So,
I won't even go through it in the truck. How about? In my little car, forget it, would be swallowed right up in the car.
Not the problem of this commission, but you're going to have some distressed homeowners who currently park across the street.
That is, again, a property rights issue. They're claiming they have deeded parking rights to that property. Salt Pond can't, Salt Pond has a little interest or, and
I'm
Yeah.
just looking at the issue down the road, and
it's
I'm,
not your issue.
not my problem, but
Not
That
your
is
issue.
true.
That is
I
the
feel-
issue between the property owners of those little beach houses in Salt Pond. Now the mayor's back, why don't we table this and do elections?
no?
I'm waiting for Mr. DeCoria.
Can I have a motion to table?
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
Excellent.
Ayes carried.
You guys need to do elections, you do need to vote a new chairman and a new vice chairman. We'll handle the committee appointments later. Mike, you're still on CPC.
At some point, I will feel to have done my
I
obligations,
figured
and
that
someone down the
was
road
coming
other than
sooner
I can
rather
take
than
that, but
later.
until, we can pick maybe 2 years for me on there, it seems, through
How
that,
long have you been at it?
more than a year,
More than, yeah.
more than a year. So I'm trying to be reasonable and fair to everybody.
No, I absolutely understand that, you just let us know when you have.
I will figure the date and let you know.
That.
That's fine.
Well, being such a reasonable person, I'd like to make a motion to have Mike Powers as vice chair.
We'll second that.
All in favor?
I'd
Opposed?
like to make a motion
Motion.
to elect Tom Corvo chairman.
Second?
All those in
Oh,
favor?
I'm getting there. All those in favor?
It's been long, it's been here much longer.
Aye.
Ayes
Aye,
carried.
aye, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Both have
So
aye.
moved. Motion to untable the, can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion on table, Surf Drive discussion.
All right, Mari,
Second?
you're on this discussion, we discussed.
Can I get a second?
Wait a minute, what?
Mary
Mary
second.
seconded.
Mayor seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
We
Thank
just
you.
untabled something. We're voting the surf drive order conditions are on that forum. Only special conditions is maintain access to properties along the seaward side of Surf Drive and include the operational and maintenance plan that I will include it in the narrative. Okay?
We have a motion to accept the order as discussed.
Make a motion to accept the orders as discussed.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion from the board? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous? So moved.
Yes.
Next,
Yes, I'm sorry,
Yep.
Susan.
next is White's Landing.
This is the boat ramp with the queuing line and the new drainage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Correct, and the trees and all of that. We will condition that they
There's a lot
are
of
going to be
trees going on.
restoring part of that salt
A
marsh.
lot of trees going down.
But
The project does require the removal and alteration of 60 square feet of salt marsh. They did say that they would place that twofold.
Yep.
We'll probably need a little bit of more detailed plan, but I will work with Scott on doing that for the town. They also have to file multiple permits with the Army Corps of Engineers, CZM, and everything because of that alteration. Trust me, if they did not have to alter the 60 square feet of salt marsh, they would not. Would be a number of permits they have to file now with the Army Corps and CZM and everybody because of that little bit of alteration. And I actually asked Scott today, I said, is there any way we can avoid it? But all in all, it will improve, there'll be a great improvement in water quality in that area. It'll improve the boat ramp down there. It'll take care of a lot of the stormwater issues down there,
traffic,
traffic and everything else.
pedestrian-
Environmentally, the boat ramp is gonna be, I mean, obviously, any project is, construction's much worse, but they'll build the coffer dam, they'll condition the coffer dam,
Yep.
and it will improve that area.
It is a public improvement.
Oh, it's huge.
Oh, it's a great,
such
it's a great
tough
project,
area.
and the cooperation of the homeowner or the property owner up in the corner of 28 to make all this happen. It's,
Bosun,
yeah, I just, it's a feel-good project all the way around.
They've been working a long time on this project.
And it's a beautiful thing. It gets a lot of use. It's the kind of thing the town can be proud of.
Can I entertain a motion?
Make a motion to accept, with the conditions that we talked about,
Yeah, the salt marsh restoration.
Saul Mount restoration.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes, I'll second that.
All those in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Nice job,
Congratulations.
mister.
Nice job, Mr. Chairman,
Congratulations.
tonight.
But you did a nice job.
Nice job.